Thank you very much, Deputy McGrath. We now move on to the Social Democrats speaking slot. You have 10 minutes with Deputy Rice, Deputy Cummins, Deputy Gannon and Deputy Gibbon. 3322.
Minister, today's statements on Bessborough are welcome and very important, but they'll be meaningless unless the Government takes action on foot of the debate today. And I would urge the Minister to listen to the speeches from across the House, including members of our own party who are calling on the Government to intervene here. The bottom line is apartments should not be built on what is very likely a mass grave. It would not be accepted anywhere else, and we cannot accept it here. Neil shakes heart, Minister. Last week I spoke at a protest outside the gates of Leinster House. And Minister, I want to say to you directly what I said to survivors and their supporters at that gathering. I was very recently at a vigil organised at the Bessborough site in Cork, and afterwards I took time to look at the debt records of the institution. 923 children died in the care of the nuns in Bessborough. 923. The scale of the suffering here cannot be overstated, and yet only 64 burials are accounted for. The Commission of Investigation into Modern Baby Homes found that it's very likely that the remains of infants are buried on this site. During the 1940s in Ireland, the infant mortality rate was 6.5%. In Bessborough, it was nearly 61%, 10 times higher. The state knew this, and the state turned a blind eye. Officials in the Department of Local Government and Public Health at the time recognised that should Bessborough deaths be leaked to the public, it would, and I quote, result in a public scandal. And all these years later, all we have is a decision to grant planning permission to build apartments on a site that saw so much tragedy. Some of those in power think that this is an issue of the past, and they couldn't be more wrong. The survivors of Bessborough have never received justice. Families are still looking for information and answers. And this isn't just Bessborough. If the planning permission goes through here, it sets a precedent for the use of other grounds and other institutions, such as Shanross Abbey, Castlepollard, where burials also remain unaccounted for. Minister, these children matter, the survivors matter, our history matters. The Government cannot treat this like a normal planning application and sit idly by as concrete is poured over graves. Despite what government might say, our reckoning with this dark period of our history is not over. It's crucially important that future generations understand what happened here and elsewhere. We need a full investigation of the grounds of Bessborough. This should be followed by sensitive excavation on the site, and it should then be subject to a compulsory purchase order to establish a memorial for all those who suffered. Minister, you mentioned the museum in Dublin, but survivors elsewhere across the country, including in Cork, also need a space and not just an apartment complex. Minister, every attempt to reckon with this period of our history has been deeply flawed. Time and again, successive governments have failed survivors. This cycle must end, and that starts by you intervening and stopping this plan application in Bessborough. Abuse cannot and must not be cemented over.